this end of the year, I'm not super interested in a lot of games, except for like Dead Rising 4. I'm a big Dead Rising fan, so
Oh, I
that's the
could
only
talk
one.
about Rising all day, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I loved 3. I've loved every single one of them. They're just dumb fun. That's exactly what I want from a zombie game. Just dumb fun. Get to make all this crazy shit, run them over with cars. Great.
Yeah, Dead Rising, the first Dead Rising really got it right. That's actually the actual sole reason I picked up an Xbox 360 over a PS3 is because it had Dead Rising for it.
Yeah, I remember. That's not why I bought my Xbox. I bought my 360 because of Gears of War. But yeah, no, Dead Rising 1. People like complain about it with the time mechanic. Like, man, that time mechanic is what made it though. And I
Exactly.
understand getting rid of it, and it is gone in 4, but it's that was so cool. Like you'd have to make these tough decisions. And I think it was a little too tough to make these decisions sometimes. But
The game was fucking hard back in the
oh
day.
yeah, oh yeah, that game was not that's the one thing they did make the mechanics better over the years, to where it's not just like you're fumbling around with a sword, but like, oh, I got 6 cans of orange juice and a samurai sword. You're like, all right, just chill out. So
Yeah,
the,
let me go face these four psychos with a mounted machine gun.
oh
All
yeah,
right.
and that was the thing they fixed too, is the psychos they made easier to fight in 2, and in 3 the psychos weren't as interesting, but at least they were battles that made sense.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Like
those games are great.
there was a little bit more comedy in 3 with the psychos than there were in 2 and 1.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely kind of changed over the years, but it still has that core. And with Frank West back, like it's and the pictures, taking pictures of it, there's just nothing else like it, really.
Comedy is back for sure.
Yeah,
Like the way he's taking selfies with zombies, freaking putting on like a power suit armor.
yeah,
I think
I'm super excited for that.
I think I think I'm really excited for the my I'm getting my girlfriend into gaming. I'm going to be picking up the remastery of Dead Rising 2 and 1 and Off the Record.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
really excited to see what they've done as far as like a reskin for the PlayStation 4 for Dead Rising and how much better it's going to be.
I mean, I'm curious about that because Dead Rising 1 was never. I mean, Dead Rising 2 was on PS3 and on PC and all that, but Dead Rising 1 was just 360, so it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Exactly.
But with like 2 and Off the Record, they're just going to be straight up PC ports, which is going to look fine. You know, the game's a little old, but it's going to run better, and it's going to be what you want. It's going to be what you want. It's just Dead Rising. I mean,
Right,
that's
exactly.
all you need.
So, what are you hoping they add the support of in 4 more than anything?
You know, this might. That's a tough question, but playing Battlefield 1, one of the more interesting things about it was all the destructibility of buildings and stuff. And I'd like to imagine, in kind of like the reveal for Crackdown, which I fucking love Crackdown, with the destruction in that, if you could have indoor areas too, where you're outside looking in and you can go into the areas and you're blowing up a building, something like Mercenaries almost, I guess too. Something
Right,
along that would be super compelling. Other than that, just make Psychos more bizarre and
right,
interesting fights. Maybe tone up the gameplay. The gameplay could still use a little tightening up. Make it feel more like a Bayonetta, but not as stylish, I guess, because it's Frank West. But more like that, more like a Devil May Cry sort of thing, and that's it. You're done. That's all you need to do.
dude. So, out of all the Dead Risings, what was your favorite story?
That's interesting. I never played Off the Record, so that's off the record for this. I think, I think I do like twos with like finding the beat. Well, they all have the beat, don't they? Um, I liked that. And I think it's got to be 1 simply because it has like a bunch of false endings where you're like, I gotta get out, and then like, oh no, now there's the military's here. Like this is what the fuck's happening? I love that aspect of it. It's like I'm still surviving. Like, oh shit, I got to survive more here. And you kept finding more areas of the mall. It felt very well paced in that respect, and not necessarily in a story way, but in like an environmental story way, I guess. Yeah, I guess I pick one. It's tough to beat one. It came out at a great time too, for gaming when games weren't as, release as they are
Right.
now.
I gotta say, I think 3 was possibly my favorite story, to be honest, because like in the end, like you get to see like all these old school characters and shit like that, and you're like, oh my god, it's basically a homage to itself. And I'm really hoping that Dead Rising 4 brings that kind of homage back, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's tough. I barely remember 3, even though it's the most recent one. Like as far as the plot goes, yeah, I couldn't even tell you. It was weak, but it was fine. Like, it doesn't need to be a big. It's not The Last of Us. It doesn't need to be a big story thing. So it's fine the way it is. I mean, with Frank and it being 10 years later, it does seem like they're putting in a lot of plot, a lot of at least backstory, at least history, and there should be some payoff to something with it. And I like is the return to a mall. Malls are the best. My phone beeps and beeps over there. Oh, now this is the longest show. You've officially done it. This is the longest show. Broke the record, which by like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Usually, yeah, about 2 hours is how I want the show. It's been 2 hours almost. But it's a good discussion about all these things. I mean, it's a big week for gaming.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like the Scorpio and the PS4 Pro, and what do you think, man? Do you think that PlayStation is going to have an answer to the Scorpio by the time Microsoft releases it?
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. No. They're going to release Scorpio next fall, as they're saying. There's no reason for them to have said that now and not meet that. I fully expect it to come out next year. People are kind of speculating that you could have a PlayStation 5, let's just call it, announced maybe not next year, but the year after, and then release in the year following, so in another 3 years from now. I don't know if you can, even in terms of R&D, make a Scorpio-powered console and have it out in a year. Like, you just blew your entire load on Slim, VR, Pro. You're not gonna. Where's this money that you're just like inventing, and you're gonna do another one? Doesn't make sense. They messed up. They jumped the gun, is what they did.
Exactly. That's personally why I think that Microsoft is really going to have the edge, and when Scorpio comes out, it might be the end.
It's not the end. I mean, it's not like the end, but Sony's really just not doing great. Yeah. It's. I was thinking about it earlier. It's as though with this generation they were having a little foot race, and at the beginning of the foot race, Microsoft forgot to put its shoes on, and so it was like fumbling around, and then Sony gets a lap around, and then Microsoft's like, oh shit, I got turbo boots with the Scorpio, and Sony just trips on its face. Like, it's just horrible, weird shit going on. And you look back at how they launched the Xbox One with this whole, it's going to be always online, and people didn't like that, and blah, blah, blah. That whole shit, which really hurt them, and Sony just said games, and everyone liked that, obviously. And then now this polar shift of, no, Scorpio is great, that's what we want, and this is, do we want this? I don't know. It's 3 years, is that too soon? 4 years is longer, and then it's so much better too. Like, all right, I'll just wait. I don't have a 4K TV. Like, it's this weird shift that could potentially happen. It could swing the other way. It also has a lot of implications for mid-cycle stuff, like PS4.5s, or even more than 2 between entries, or if there are even entries, if you could just do the iPhone model now at a certain point. it could mean a lot of things. It really all hinges on PlayStation Pro. Like it starts then, see how that response is. Once we get to Scorpio, but once we're 6 months out from Scorpio, we'll know. We'll know what this all means and what it's going to be for the future. But at this point, we don't really know. We still have VR in the mix and what that could possibly screw with things. I personally still think VR is a gimmick largely. But I haven't played around with it too much. Who knows? It just remains to be seen. It's too early to call a lot of that reliably.
I think even if I could virtually be thrusted into a world, I would be safer with a controller in my hand. It's just the way it's been. It's the way it's always been. It feels more of like a gimmick to me as well. It's more like when Rock Band came out, it was like the craze. It was like the freaking craziness, right? Like you could play guitar, you could sing, drum, and for that exact reason, I feel like it's going to be the same thing with like the way it was with the Kinect. Is they're going to have a few VR games? Yes. It's going to be a blaze? Yes. Is it going to die? Most certainly to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to die. I think the problem with VR is there's a lot of problems, but I think the idea of everything else but gaming is much more interesting to me. The idea of downloading some kind of thing that's like a world travel simulator, so then you can just pop into like Tokyo and you're there and you can look around. It's like a live feed, or now you're in Paris. Like you can just blink across the world. That's incredible. That is something revolutionary and worthy of this hype. But being able to look around in a spaceship, like I don't know, and how do I want to do that for hours at a time? Like I don't play games for 10 minutes. I play games for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, like I'm not going to be looking around. I don't want to look around, and then you're limited with the controls because, like you said, a lot of them are the motion controls and stuff too, which is fine. But everyone shits all over the Wii. That's gimmicky motion. And I'm like, you just put the gimmicky motion in your VR, and now it's not a gimmick. Like I don't buy that at all. There's nothing proved here. People like they did that PSX announcement. Like, look at the zombie crazy taxi. I'm like, you're gonna play that game for 5 minutes. You're never gonna play that game again. Like it's cool shit to show your friends when they come over, and then you put it away and you play an actual game for adults. Like it's so stupid. I don't. I mean, it could be cool. I think an idea of using it as like an enhancement for games could be interesting. This was when Fallout 4 had just come out, but I was thinking about when you go into that guy's memories, if you put on the headset and now you're in the memories and you're just walking around doing like, and then you take it off when you're done. And like something along those lines is much more interesting to me because it's like this bite-sized piece that's additive as opposed to an experience that is built solely on VR and must exist and work in that space fully. That it limits itself and isn't as interesting. The whole idea of VR too, a lot of these games, you blink around. You don't move. You blink around to different places and then do your movement. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't know about that. Sounds real bad.
Right.
I don't get it.
You're thinking that what would be more innovative is to basically use VR as like a smart, the way smart glass function was used with Dead Rising 3 to call in airstrikes. Whereas in specific reasons like calling down a mech in Titanfall, you put your VR headset on and then you freaking battle with your freaking mech and then you take it off and you go back to human, like that kind of gimmicky.
I mean, sure. I don't know if that's more innovative or even that's a gimmick too. I mean, but that's the thing with a gimmick. A gimmick is only a gimmick until it becomes like Rumble is a gimmick, but it's in every game controller. So it's not a gimmick anymore. Like it is a thing. The second analog stick could have been a gimmick. So yeah, it could be a gimmick, but it could end up being a cool thing. And I think adding into games you already have would be beneficial because this is going to launch with some interesting stuff, but it's not an experience. There's nothing meaty to get your claws into, and that's what I want. You know, I want my Dead Rising, I want my Deus Ex, I want my Fallout, and I want my Metal Gear, I want all this stuff, and there's nothing even remotely close. Not even like a downloadable indie thing that's like a 10-hour experience. There's nothing. There is nothing like that. There's that weird shooter game that could be good, maybe, but it's like, I don't trust it. especially with how Sony did Move, why would I trust you?
Right. Because the Move is coming back to the PlayStation VR, which is already a big mistake.
I mean, I want it to be successful so I can see its next form. This is very much a early adopter thing of like, yeah, you have fun over there, and in 5 years or in 3 years or whatever, I'll play it with the PSVR 2 or 3, and it'll be great. And then that's when I'll get into it, because at this point you're buying into hopes and dreams and promises, and as we said earlier, that is not what you should buy into ever.
Right. So my thing personally is that like the PlayStation VR almost feels like it's in like test stages, and they're releasing it to the public as like an alpha, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about Oculus or Vive too. It's
exactly
this is what it is, and it's cool, and there are people who love it and think it's great. I just don't. I mean, I messed around with a little bit of a Google Glass because it was like $10. Like, I'll try this, and it's cool. Like, oh, I'm in this place. It's cool. There's some Star Wars stuff you can download. So I'm like, oh, I'm on Tatooine. Like, oh, that's neat. But that's it. Like, oh, that's neat. It's not. I downloaded the demo for literally any game and said like, oh shit, I want to play this game. This is an experience. These are VR experiences. They should be different. They shouldn't be the same games you're playing. But until we get to that point, the option shouldn't be shitty mini games. Until we get to the point where we have immersive, incredible VR experiences, it should be stuff like Resident Evil 7, or like I said, adding little parts into other games you already have. For instance, if you could play Assassin's Creed and just put on the helmet, all the enemies disappear, and now you're just walking around Rome or something.
Oh my god, I would so do that. I would do it in a fucking heartbeat.
Yes, exactly. That is 100% something that makes a lot of sense for that, and it's with a game you already have. They already have the assets. You have the headset. Done. End of line. Like that's it. That's an incredible use for it. Even if you could barely play the game, like you could just shoot arrows. You're like, this is dumb fun. And it adds to your game, then you're done with it, and you go back into your Ezio or whatever the hell. That's what it should. It needs to be that until it can become like a Gone Home place or something. And even Gone Home's 2 hours. So like I don't. It's tough. It's tough.
So, what do you think they could come up with to make a game that would last to the masses for hours on end? Someone that would like be like, oh, something that would make everyone be like, oh my god, I want a VR headset to play this for 10 hours.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think there's enough people even saying they want VR at this point. Period. To even get to that point of like, oh, we need to make it all comes down to money, and like you're not going to make any money on this that doesn't have any things on it, but you're not going to get the things because it's like this whole circle. But what would bring people over? I mean, it's going to have to be something for gamers if you want the gaming side of it to grow. And I mean, barring Half-Life 3, what is a big thing that could get everyone into it? Maybe Blizzard could pull something out of their hat and be like, oh, I really want this. Like, I really want Overwatch in VR. Like, that could be cool. But it'd have to be something new. I don't even know. Like, that's the thing with VR is we've had Oculus and Vive for about 6 months now, and it's been like radio silence almost. It feels like. And then we're gonna get PlayStation VR. This very well could, like you said, it could just die. It could just die and be nothing because there was no fruit on the vine and you just chopped the tree too soon, which is a weird vine tree.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, there's no games out there. Like, for instance, in the PlayStation conference itself, did you notice they didn't really even touch on VR? And it's releasing in October?
I'm not surprised that they didn't touch on that too much because that conference was for the Slim and the Pro. But you do still have a point because they talked about VR. Here's 2 minutes, if that. Oh, it makes VR games better. All right, yeah, okay, bye. Like, wow, you coulda. You kind of are right. They didn't even really, and they have all those pictures of the Slim and then next to the Pro and all that. Is there VR in that picture? I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you if there's VR in that picture, and that is like a big thing. They've been saying they're treating this like a console launch, and ironically, they're releasing 3 consoles then this year. It's yeah. I don't like I said. I don't trust Sony with peripherals.
I don't think so either. But like, did you notice that like Microsoft is hyping the fuck out of HoloLens?
Yeah, they've been doing that, but that HoloLens is cool. But even that's like
Gimmicky.
it's all gimmicky. This is all a middle step because no, I don't think a lot of people want the dumb helmet on their head. Until we can just have something that taps into your brain and then you're that character in the world and you have different abilities. This is a weird middle step in between where you can't move, but you can look around, but it's not the same. It doesn't look as good. It's not as deep gameplay wise. Like there's all these compromises, and I don't think being able to look around the world makes up for that. The shortcomings. No.
I don't think so either. So, have you spent much time with Nintendo's handhelds?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So you spent time with like the new 3DS, 3DS, DS, stuff like that?
Yeah. I've played pretty much all of them. Played a game on all of them, probably. Yeah.
So what do you think about there's not very much information on it, but what do you think about the NX?
Well, the rumor is with it being the handheld console hybrid. I think that's smart for them to do. It seems kind of obvious, especially if you watch that 3DS Direct, which was last week, where it's like, oh, we're porting all our Wii U games to 3DS, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, Hyrule Warriors did the same thing, and Smash was on both. I'm like, they've been kind of doing this for a while. It seems like gearing up for this idea of larger scale game that shrinks down to portable size, and that's fine. I'm excited for the NX in a way, but at the same time, I feel like I'm gonna be able to get the best Zelda experience on the Wii U already. So,
right,
if I don't have to buy anything, I'm super down with that. But I also like the idea, like the Fire Emblem games that came out this year. I love Fire Emblem, but I don't want to play it on my 3DS. If I could buy an HDMI out for my 3DS, I'd play it on my TV, but I can't. So I don't play those games. Like I'd like to play Animal Crossing on my TV, the way God intended, but I can't. Yeah, I love the GameCube Animal Crossing. I played the shit out of that game. Yeah, I love the idea of instead of isolating these two groups, like you can't play that Kirby game. It's on Wii U. You can't play that Kirby game. It's on 3DS. Like no, you can play that game. It's on Nintendo. And if you want to play it on the go, if you want to play it at home, do whatever you want. I'm down with that. I think that's super smart, super good for them. Perfect.
That actually sounds like a really good selling point. That's something that PlayStation and Xbox can definitely learn from. Is like, you have an airplane, you have a flight coming up, take your controller off the freaking thing, you take your game with you through the flight, put a charger in, come back, play it in HD on your TV.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the idea. Hopefully those rumors kind of come out true. I think they have to be doing a show or talking about it here soon. I would imagine a reveal event. I don't think you do the reveal event for NX in October. It's kind of a mess. There's a lot of games coming out. There's VR coming out. We've now cycled through this video like twice. And then, oh shit, the spider. Oh, the spider's still up there. He moved away. And then in November, it doesn't make sense because you're confusing the message. You got the NES Classic coming out too. So that's kind of weird. You got the PlayStation coming out. December doesn't make any sense because it's December. And January doesn't make any sense because no one has any money after the holidays. And then February is like okay, but then that's like 2 months out. Like I think you have to do it this month, and that's kind of what rumors are saying to talk about it. As for Microsoft and Sony doing it, they're very clearly going the other direction. Going the power direction ruins the entire handheld idea of it. And
Exactly.
I like the Vita, but they're not really doing much with that. And but I think that's fine. They can exist in different places, and I think that's smart. That's why it's smart for Nintendo to just be like, we have the handheld market. Vita's kind of gone. Smartphone stuff is separate, and they're even getting into that, so they can kind of carve out their own little niche that they pretty much already carved out. But do that. Don't compete directly with, because you can't and you shouldn't have been. And end of discussion. They're like, that's it. That's all you need to do.
So you're saying that Nintendo would sell better if they were just in a league of their own and let Sony and Microsoft battle it out on a separate battlefield?
Well, that's the Wii is a weird example because it shouldn't have done as well as it did by all accounts. Really, it's lightning in a bottle or whatever phrase you want to say. It's but that was them kind of like, we're doing this over here. Or even with the DS, like, we're making dual screen games. Like, you can't port your game here. You'd have to do some stuff and make a map on the bottom and do some additional things. It's got a touch thing. Like that, when that came out, the PSP was the PSP out or almost out? It doesn't matter because it's a completely different thing. A PSP is a handheld PlayStation. Well, literally with the name. But the DS is, we made this Game Boy Advance with 2 screens and one's a touch screen. Like, they've been carving out their own weird area for a while, and they've existed there. Like, the DS sold amazingly well. The 3DS didn't sell as well, but still did very well. And the Wii U basically shows that, yes, people love your software, but that you already have that audience. Like, you're not going to capture more with it. With the handheld audience, you can kind of still just have your own space. You're not competing. Like you said, you're not competing with, you're not getting the ports of Mass Effect 3 2 years later. You're just getting Nintendo games and other third-party stuff that is NX. That this is NX. It's another thing. I think that's smart for them. Besides going third-party, which I don't know. There's a lot of money issues with going third-party. You make more money when you make your own hardware. That's why you wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
Because you make 30% on every game sold or something like that, because of the licensing thing, just to release someone's game on your console. Then you make money on the hardware, and you make, like, there's a lot more money to be made. And Nintendo still has a lot of money. People will, whatever, they still have a lot of money. They're a smart company, even though the Wii U failed by all accounts. Something like, was it like 12 or 14 million Wii U's sold? But if you look at it, there's an attach rate of 50% or something for a Mario Kart. Like, that's insane. That is, and that makes it one of the best-selling games in the last 10 years, probably. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. They're not failing or floundering in any sense of the word. They're doing fine. They're just not selling PS4 numbers. Is the difference. Yeah. All right. This is good. I cannot talk to you forever. I have to eventually stop. But this is great. I think this is a good idea for any show.
Man, that's why I'm trying to be innovative and
I think that's smart. Take live call-ins. You can get people talking. I mean, it's pretty easy, pretty good.
Yeah, man. That's the same thing I do on my channel. So if you I added you on Discord. So if you want to pop in at any point in time, just hit me up on Discord and we'll fucking start up a Twitch and start talking.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I stream Mario Maker. I mean, it's not the same. But I stream this show here every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. This is the outro now. But on my channel, twitch.tv/BenReacts, I do Mario Maker Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, about 3 hours. It's great. Playing viewer levels is awesome in Mario Maker. It's a super, super fun thing. I'm going to mute you, by the way. You can't be heard on the stream. Or even on my computer. But thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas. This is now way the longest episode. Way too long. I'll break this up into like 30 parts. Out of control. See you next week. I don't know. Oh, I have an ending thing. Here you go.